quick shout out to Killcliff. Thank you for the Joe Rogan Experience pineapple jalapeno juice that has CBD in it. I'm going to drink that now.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's nice.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. I also have a beer, so I'm going to do that. I'm just going to crack open a beer. You don't have to have a drink. This is not like a drinking show or anything.
I've got a raspberry polar.
Nice. Is that just a drink, like a soda?
It's like a sparkling water.
Sparkling water? Like
seltzer.
Like a LaCroix?
Like a LaCroix, yeah.
Are the less bougie? Wait, LaCroix is bougie now?
I don't know. I feel like Polar has been there forever.
That's true. All right. I'm going to just start it right here. Screw it.
Yeah. Damn.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the RRBG podcast. I'm here with Tucker Rule, drummer extraordinaire, Thursday, Frank Iero, and the Future Violence. How are you, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How about yourself? Thank you for having me, by the way.
No, thank you for your time, for coming on the show. I'm good. Just been busy and trying to be an adult and figure out whether or not, society is going to let us live our lives and have shows and, be in front of audiences and all that stuff.
Yeah, I hear you.
How are you guys have a tour booked. So, how's that looking?
Right now it's looking pretty good, but I don't know. I feel like saying yes to things, but there's definitely it probably won't happen. So we'll see. You know what I mean?
Right.
Wishful thinking is on our side, I feel now.
Wishful thinking booking should be a company that opens up now for
I know, you and I should start it. We should trademark this right now.
Yeah, let's start a booking company. We'll book tours. Wishful thinking.
Yeah. And it's just a fingers crossed. That's our logo.
That's the logo.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. It's crazy. It's crazy because I've even, a year ago you would have asked me and I would have said no. I'm not buying tickets to any show. Like what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But I allowed myself to buy tickets to a show. And now I went out to a meeting today and everybody's like freaking out because the new variant or whatever's happening. So now I'm like, God, I fell for it. I bought tickets. It's going to get canceled.
And then, we're seeing tours get canceled now, like stuff here and there, and that's just getting scary again. You know what I mean? Because as soon as one person cancels, then it starts to trickle and snowball. You know what I mean? So, and you don't want to be the band that starts a whole new pandemic. You know what I mean? Not that Thursday shows are large enough to make a pandemic happen, but you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't want to be on the hit list for oh yeah, we just killed your family because people can't be responsible or whatever.
Yeah, man. I saw you were a part of something, the Beyond the Bars thing. It's a big problem, and people aren't really paying attention to it. Like you would think, government, officials would be more interested in saving their entertainment. Because what are they gonna spend all that money on later on in life? They need to buy records. They need to go to shows and do things. Like, what's the point of having money if you can't do anything with it?
No kidding. And a lot of people that have kids, going to a show is their night out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's a thing to do. They get a babysitter for one night, Saturday night or something, and they go to a show. I don't know.
Absolutely. No, it's true. So, tell me about Beyond the Bars. What are they, what's going on with that? It seems like it's about the cycle of violence. So tell me more about this, please.
I'm not a whole, so we set this up through the Indie Drummer Collective, and my friend Aaron Tate runs it. And each month we choose a different charity.
Okay.
And I forget, each member kind of chooses one every month, and then we all agree on it. So this one was kind of agreed on, and I read a little bit about it, but not too much. But
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can not talk about that. I'm reading about it now. It says Beyond the Bars is always looking for talented music teachers to get involved in making a difference in the lives of incarcerated youth. So it's like an educational program for folks that are in prison.
Yeah.
Which is great because,
it's awesome.
Yeah. I think that's one of those issues that a lot of people don't understand, that music can be therapy. Music
Absolutely. And
can heal the mind. So
That's the thing. It's like people need it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it definitely calms the savage beast. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So moving into the post-pandemic / new pandemic era, do you feel inspired to like make more music, or are you just trying to get out and play shows at this point?
I mean, if anything, I feel more inspired than I ever have, just because you realize how important it is, not only to have people listen to music, but to be able to create it too. You know what I mean? And like, you forget how much you need it. Like playing shows is one thing. Like, yeah, like as a drummer, as a musician, I need that release. You know what I mean? It's the best feeling I've ever had in my life. So I miss that, but definitely the creative process is something that is really missing in my life these days. Luckily we have, Zoom and all this stuff where we could talk about things or whatever and get ideas out. I built a studio in my garage, which is right next to me right here. And, so I'm able to record drums and send ideas back and forth via Pro Tools and Dropbox and all that shit. So that's been like a lifesaver. And, also doing stuff with the Indie Drummer Collective where we're covering songs on the drums has been like a huge lifesaver. Like learning other people's drum parts and playing them as best I can has been like such a game changer for me, because it gives me something to like practice. I've never been one that likes cover songs. I just never, growing up playing drums, I never played along to other songs. I always kind of just, I did air drumming. I think everybody air drums or air guitars, but I never like sat down, put headphones on and played along to a song. That's just not how I did it.
Okay.
So this has given me like, oh wow, this is kind of fun to like step into another drummer's shoes and try to learn his or her parts and try to execute them the way they would have. It kind of teaches me how to approach writing parts differently.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's kind of like martial arts, where you learn different aspects of different things from different people that are good at it, and you can implement it into your style. So as a drummer especially, if you break into, there's so many different styles of drumming that you can learn. And if you get into like the Latino jazz, Latin jazz, or gospel, if you want to do, crazy stuff, it's cool to bring it all in. And then it makes your creativity better to have all these different tools, I guess, right? These new instruments
Absolutely.
to play with.
I mean, any instrument, whether it's guitar, drums, whatever, like we all have our tricks, our go-to moves, our go-to fills, our go-to transitions, you know what I mean? Go-to beats, go-to, whatever. And doing something like this, kind of takes you out of that and kind of teaches you another avenue, just like you said with martial arts. It's like a, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and then you can move on to, Muay Thai or something like that. You know what I mean? Two different ground to standing. It's two different things, and it kind of helps you see it from a different perspective.
Yeah, man. I've always been a fan of that. Ever since, I guess it has a lot to do with the way I grew up. In a Latino neighborhood, but also into like metal and dark, crazy stuff, and not really fitting in with either of them. And so I had to just meld it into my own thing. And I've always done that with like shows. When I was in a band, I was like, what if we play? Our metal band plays with this hip hop band. And they were like, what? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm into it. So I
think that stuff's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, especially when it comes to like, like you said, putting people on shows or whatever. It's like mixing and matching and picking the things that you like. Sometimes, so much more fun.
So you're Thursday's obviously quite popular. You guys, even though I still consider you one of my like, I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but it was like a kept secret for me when I would tell people about Thursday. It's like, hey, you should listen to Thursday. It's really great. And they're like, oh, really? I never heard of them. But now it's getting to the point where, people know who you are. You've been around for a while. You're doing these awesome shows that you were doing, the live streams with collaborations and everything. Where does it go from here for the band? Do you think, like, do you want to keep working on evolving the band's sound? Do you want to just focus on doing more live shows, or do you want to start something new?
It's hard to say, man. I'm really enjoying the fact that we can still play these songs 20 years later and people want to hear them, you know what I mean? And people keep asking for them, which is great. So, you know, it's kind of rewarding because the music industry is not a gentle lover. You know what I mean? It's a tough place to be. So to go through the motions and fight the fights every day and get knocked down constantly, like, you know, like we had our ups and downs, you know, our highs were real high and the lows have been real low.
Yeah.
So, you know, to be able to be a 42-year-old man and be like, yeah, I don't know, like this is what I do for a living right now. And you know, people want to hear this old stuff. It kind of brings me a feeling of like I succeeded in a certain way, you know, and I stuck with it, you know, where a lot of people give up, you know, we stuck with it. And, you know, it's kind of nice to be able to, you wake up and you puff your chest out and you feel good about yourself, you know? So, but I don't know, man. I don't know. We're just enjoying playing shows right now. We're just enjoying, you know, kind of seeing each other, you know, like when we do these live streams, we see each other, you know,
right.
You know, I moved out of Brooklyn last year, so I don't see Jeff very often. He was kind of my neighbor. And Steve, our guitar player, lives down the road from me about 10 minutes. So I see him every once in a while, but the others, you know, we have one guy that lives in Richmond, Virginia, one guy that lives in DC. So we're kind of spread out all over the place. So that's our chance to kind of see each other and hang out.
Absolutely. That's, you know, it's key too. You can't, like you were saying earlier, you can make stuff in your studio, but it's not the same than getting in a room together and jamming with the guys, you know? It's a different vibe completely.
If I were writing music with somebody, what would take 5 minutes in a room takes like 2 days, because it's like they send me the idea, I put the drums to it and send it to them, and then, you know, they get it the next day and they send, you know, it's like this back and forth ping pong that we can't do like this, you know. We want to do this, not like this.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but you know, I hear you though about the nostalgia aspect of the band, but also just, it's not nostalgia, because nostalgia makes it sound like some cheap fucking product thing that like you see on like Marvel's doing, you know. It's more of the music you guys made was so impactful. The Thursdays, you know, they called it screamo at the time or whatever it was. Like I was way into that. Like between the shows that you guys were playing, it was Thursday and Poison the Well and Glassjaw. Like that was 3 bands right there that it was all about passion and like emotion, and feeling, and people were actually connecting to this music. And these shows are sold out, so you know that you're doing something right, you know. And that's why you're creating this very personal product for people that they connect their lives to growing up, you know. So I can see why the appeal, you know.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate you know, you feeling that way about the band, because, you know, honestly, we always felt like it was, you know, we were all in the same room together. You know what I mean? There wasn't a band that of course we were on a stage because, you know, that was the way it was, but we all felt, it felt like it was one big kind of like-minded hang.
Most of the time it was just you on stage or the drummers, because the rest of the band's like in the pit with the people. Exactly.
Yeah. And I miss that stuff, you know what I mean? I miss that stuff. And, you know, it's funny now that we're a little older, it's like we're working on playing a little bit better, you know, technically, not like we're still trying to go crazy on stage, you know, crazy, but, you know, we're realizing that there are the people that used to come to see us back in the day who are still coming to see us now are a little bit older. Maybe they don't want to be in the pit anymore. Maybe they just want to sit back in the back and listen. So, and drink a beer. So we want to be able to play for the front of the room and for the back of the room, you know?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's got to sound good too at this point, you know, people now that they're, you know, before it was, when the band was like, when you first dropped Full Collapse or whatever, everybody was in that ride with the band, right? You know, it was this rush of like, you know, now that we're older and you're looking back and you're like, okay, it's been X many years since the album came out. You want to make sure you're playing it perfectly so that it's that experience again for people. And like you said, you know, I'm just as old as you guys. So now
it's interesting too, because it's like, especially, you know, I can't speak for the rest of the dudes, but I can speak for myself here. Like I wrote those songs when I was 20, you know what I mean? So, and I'm 42 now. So like, you want to play with the same passion and the same fire that you had when you're 20.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's difficult because double my age now, but at the same time, you want to play better than you did. So you're combining these two forces together to try to come out with the, you know, the right equation. And that's challenging, but to me, I find it to be like so fun and so rewarding.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, it's got to feel good to go on stage and play those songs and bring you back to that time. You know, as you said, time has passed, but that's still in you, even though that you hear it all the time, like, oh, people change. You know, I'm not the same person I was 8 years ago, so maybe you're not as emotionally connected to the you know, that song or what a particular song, but it's still part of you. It's what made you who you are. It's taken you this far. So you got to also be able to appreciate it and not look at, you hear bands that hate playing the, oh, I don't want to play that song for the millionth time. It's like, yeah, but that's the song that did it for you. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's also, you know, it's more than just a song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, to some people, it's what they, you know, that might be the song that they came to hear that night. They paid the money to go see.
Yeah. That song is connected to a memory of a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And,
yeah.
You know, like there's a whole thing that they've been planning for months to hear this one song.
Yeah. Even though it's not your favorite song doesn't mean it's not somebody else's favorite song.
Exactly.
So you better fucking play it, you know?
Exactly. I mean, I don't feel like that there's a song for Thursday, which is a good thing too, right? You know, there's albums. That's funny. Like, to me, that the people are coming out not for just one song, it's for a whole album. And you guys are doing multiple nights with multiple albums. So it's a great achievement. Not a lot of people understand, you know?
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, it's like I said, it's so much fun and it's so rewarding to feel the love back, you know?
Yeah, man. So if you were to start a new project, now that you're a little older, your interests have obviously changed or evolved. If you were to start a new band right now, a new project musically, what kind of style are you looking to go into? You know, because you hear certain like metal dudes or hardcore dudes that now are doing like electronic music just because it's such a contrast. Like, where would you go with a solo thing or a new project?
I mean, it's funny. I just really love playing. So I would kind of do a new band, and I would try to, you know, steer away from what the choices I would make for Thursday. You know what I mean? Like, if this part's calling for a breakdown, like, I want to play a breakdown, but not as I would in my Thursday brain. You know what I mean? I kind of want to draw from different influences. So I like the challenge of, I mean, like, Thursday has always felt like it's going off the rails. You know what I mean? When we're playing, like, it's just barely holding on because there's so much, you know, energy.
Yeah.
But I would kind of just want to draw an influence from somewhere else and see what that does. You know, still keep that same vibe, but, you know, maybe make different choices. I don't know. I don't know if I can really answer that question. It's answered in my brain, but what's coming out of my mouth, I'm really not sure. I might have blacked out for a second. But
it's fine, it happens. But yeah, I get what you mean, man. Like, you want to try something different, because I really don't understand musicians that I see that have 3 or 4 bands that they all kind of sound the same. Like, they're all in the same genre. Yeah. I don't get that.
I'm not interested. Like, I want to use a different drum kit. I want to select different cymbals. You know what I mean? I want to make it like something different, at least drum wise. You know what I mean? Like, I want people that like my drumming to be like, oh shit, like, he's doing this style now, you know. And I'm not talking about like blast beats and double bass. I'm talking about just like different choices, like simple little choices.
Okay.
That I find fun, because that's the growth I find in a musician. But also, like, you know, I don't like the same music that I did then than I do now, but I do.
But you do. You
know what I mean? Like, yeah, I do love the Beatles. You know what I mean? I do love the Rolling Stones. I do love, you know, Das Effects. And I do love, you know, like, so I kind of want to go back to that and find that influence again, you know, with something else.
Okay. You know, I was talking to my wife the other day. I'm like, you imagine a band comes out where you know how certain bands, they change their sound? You know, you look at like King Crimson, there was a big drastic change of sound for them. Or even like if you want to make it less obvious, like an Incubus. You know, you look at Incubus, like Fungus Among Us, compared to what they're doing now, it's a completely different sound. Now imagine a band comes out that wants to take that sound, like, officially be like, we're going to be Incubus, but from the 90s, and comes out, instead of a tribute band where they're just playing covers, they're writing new songs in that style. and coming out. I'm like, I don't think that would work. I don't know. I don't
Who
know.
knows?
It's an interesting idea if like a band's like, oh, we're going to be like, I think the idea came from like Greta Van Fleet, because everybody's like, oh, they're the new Zeppelin. I'm like, if they were to come out and say, we are the new Zeppelin, we're trying to do that, I think I would be less upset than them just trying to be a band sounds almost identical to another band. You know?
Yeah. Like, we're obviously drawing from this band, just so you know.
Yeah, just fucking come
like,
out and say it. We're trying to be Led Zeppelin, okay?
Yeah, that feels a little bit better. Yeah. Nothing against that band, but I'm just, I feel what you're saying.
Yeah, I would feel like, all right, cool, you're owning it. Go for it, you know?
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, dude, I don't know. It's interesting thinking of new projects for when I see, like I mentioned earlier, you look at like say Dillinger, Greg comes out, does Black Queen, or Keith does Keith from Every Time I Die does his video or tape or whatever it was called. There's such a contrasting sound there from what they're known for, and it's such a, to me, it's a bold move, because you got to now rebuild an audience, because now that audience that loves you for Thursday may not love you for your new folk bluegrass thing that
exactly or they might not even care about Thursday and might hear your new project and still not know who the fuck you are and still hate that project as well. So, I mean, it's funny, I've done a bunch of new bands, like I did a band called Ageist for a little while, and that was literally just for fun. Like, we did it for fun. We weren't trying to like go on tour for 8 months out of the year. You know what I mean? We kind of just did it for fun. I did a band called Get Involved with Todd from Glassjaw and Brian from From On to Ashes and Lars from Judge. And that was fun too, but we weren't like trying to, again, go on tour. So it's like, it's funny, all these, side hustles that we do are mostly for fun and end up costing us money rather than, going out and trying to make money, so.
Yeah. Well, passion projects, there's that very thin line when you turn a passion project into business. You know what I mean? Like once it starts becoming work, then you don't really, like, it starts declining. At least for me personally, like when I'm like, oh, I love doing this, but then when it becomes work, it's like, ooh, I don't know anymore. Like, it's not as art. I don't know. Not that it doesn't have art behind it, but you start to think about creating the art in a way that it works to make money too. It's
there's
weird.
only 24 hours in a day. So that's, when you're when you're trying to make a passion project into a real thing, and you also have several other
real things,
it's very, very difficult to figure that out.
Yeah, man. And you have a family, I
do. Yeah.
You have kids, or is it one?
One kid, one daughter.
Okay.
Yeah. She's a year and 4 months. People say 16 months or whatever. I don't say that.
So that's interesting. She's a pandemic baby.
Yeah, she was born on the 27th of March.
Wow, like right around. Wow, okay.
right when no one knew what was going on, we were told that I wasn't allowed in the hospital to watch my daughter be born.
What?
Yeah, because they weren't letting.
Oh my god.
They weren't letting partners in, so we actually switched our whole fucking birth plan to a birthing center where it was just. We had our own room. My wife gave birth in a tub, and there was a doula and a nurse, and it was great. So I was able to be there. But yeah, it was right in the beginning of the pandemic where no one knew what the fuck was happening.
Wow, dude.
And we just moved we bought our first house and moved in on March 4th. So it was a real weird time. Yeah,
that's crazy, man. You start to think about like, oh, well, if society is about to collapse, and what am I doing with this new house? Like, that's fucked up. That's
also like, I can't work for my money now. I can't go on tour, and like, there was no jobs to, there was no jobs to be had.
Right.
So it was like, oh man, what are we gonna do? I just fucking bought this house. And, luckily my wife's got a job as well, so she handles some of the heavy load right now. So
all right, I was gonna ask. I'm like, so how'd you guys make it? This is nuts.
Dude, thankfully, my wife's a champ, and unemployment.
Yeah.
For me, I've never been on unemployment before, and I'm not ashamed of it. It's just how it has to be right now. So.
Yep. Can't do much else. They're not letting you play shows.
No, exactly.
When you dedicate your whole life to that, like, what am I going to start working at at the bar? Like, what do
I mean,
there's
and that's
no
the
bars.
thing, like, I definitely, like, that's the thing. I've spent so much time, like, working on what I do, you know, that, like, I can't throw it away. But also, like, I'm not above working a normal job. I've worked normal jobs, you know, quote unquote normal jobs, shitty jobs and decent jobs, but mostly shitty jobs. And I'm not above it. It's just that during that time there was nothing to be had. So
yeah. The only people that were hiring was like Amazon warehouses, and even that, like, it was chaos. I had a couple friends do that because they were in the industry and they were like, I don't have anything else. This is the only people that are hiring. And it was garbage. It was like 3 a.m. package sorting and shit like that. Like, nothing anybody wants to be doing, you know, for terrible pay. And
that's the other thing, dude. It's like, I have a child now, so it's like I would have to get a job that at least covers child support, which I don't think, you know, doing anything like that would cover child support. So, you know, it's kind of been a weird, you know, blessing for my family that I've been home and I've been able to watch my daughter grow for the first year and change of her life. You know what I mean? Which is normally would not have been the case.
Right, because if you were on tour, you wouldn't be there for that, and you know.
Yeah, I would miss some of the good stuff. Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of a blessing. I mean, you could see it that way. I've definitely, you know, 2020 was rough on everyone, but it wasn't the worst time of my life to be home with my wife, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I had a good, you know, year of just being with her, and you know, we don't have a kid, but we have a dog, and just being with the family is important too. And we tend to forget that. And I try to tell people sometimes that maybe this was a way of the universe slowing everybody down a little bit. Like,
absolutely. And let's not forget, dogs are your kids too.
That's true. He is a pain in the ass.
We all are.
So let me ask you, you know, not to get too personal, but you have a daughter. So are you planning on starting her young on music? Like, do you want to put her on that path, or do you want to just let it happen and see, like, whatever she's into?
I want to see whatever she's into, but I'm definitely, like, going to make sure that every opportunity presents itself for her. You know what I mean? Like, I know when I was younger, I was always given the tools to try whatever I wanted. You know, like, when I was, you know, my mom coached my baseball team. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, I had a lot of support, and my mom made me take piano lessons, but I hated it. And I wish I stuck with it. So I just want to make sure that I put stuff in front of her, and you know, my mom, like, gave me a push, but she didn't, like, force me to do stuff. So I want to do the same. Like, hey, check this out. You might like this. You know what I mean? Right. Like, see what you think. That's not like, you better do this or you're not getting your dinner. You know what I mean? Like, learn chopsticks right now.
Yeah. I think that it's a good way to raise the future, to give them that opportunity. I mean, the other more, you know, strict, like you're saying, you chopsticks or you don't eat, like, that creates a different level of, like, very unsuccessfly, either you come out with a genius in a certain field or a prodigy or whatever, or they are just, they don't work for the rest of their lives. They become these brats, you know?
Yeah, dude, for me, like, if I'd have had, if I would have had to learn drums by sitting with a book and doing rudiments all day, like, I probably wouldn't have stuck with it.
Yeah, you would have.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't. My mom wanted me to take drum lessons when I was a kid. I didn't want to do it because I don't like starting new things. So it wasn't that I was, like, not interested in playing the drums. I was, like, scared that I wouldn't be good, and I didn't want to try new things. So I picked up the drums when I was 18, and I literally taught myself. Nice. And that to me was a rewarding. I wouldn't recommend that to younger people or anybody else that wants to learn drums or any instrument for that matter. But, like, if I would have had to sit and read a book and learn, I probably wouldn't have done it. So, you know, I want to make sure that, you know, she knows that there's a hidden talent in everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so. And
it takes a while to figure it out, man. Like,
absolutely. Some people never figure it out.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. I feel so fucking lucky, you know?
That's yeah. I tell people that all the time. I'm glad that you have found your thing. I think I found my thing, but that also changes a lot. Like I started with computers. I was like, oh, I'm going to be a computer genius. I'm going to build computers. And then that market like got saturated, and I was like, I don't really care about anything else but music. So I'm going to do music. I was in a band for 10 years, and then that evolved into the podcast. So like, there's goals that you want and set yourself out to do, but it could change down the road. You never know.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And even like, those formats kind of have, some sort of, consistent line through them as well,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's great what you're doing, because a lot of parents, I hate to say it because I'm not a parent, so they always like, oh, you don't understand. I'm like, yeah, I do understand. I think that a lot of the problems we have today that people complain about is bad parenting. You're doing it right, which is a rarity. There's so many people I see with kids that just, they're not even paying attention to kids yelling and screaming, and they just like, here's an iPad and shut up.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that. You end up with brats in the world. And
absolutely.
And that's why we have all these issues now.
Yeah. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know how to parent, because I don't, and I'm trying my best. And, I was an only child, so of a single mom. So like, I'm still trying to figure out what it's like to be a dad who had no dad. You know what I mean? So like, I don't have fucking daddy issues, so I'm not trying to go down that route. But it's interesting to, for me to think, oh, my daughter has two people in her house with her. So I'm just trying to figure out how to, and I'm the, during the day from like pretty much 9 till about 6, I'm on dad duty. That there's mom is upstairs in the office doing work. So I'm trying my best to like not fuck up too bad.
Well, that's the thing. You're trying your best. Exactly. A lot of people don't do that. Man, I'll play video games with people sometimes, like on my time off, and I hear the kids screaming, and I'm like, hey man, what's going on in your house? He's like, oh, it's just a kid. I'm like, what do you mean? Your kid is possessed by a demon? Why is he screaming so much? You might want to go take a look. He's like, nah, bro.
Yeah, maybe some attention.
Nah, after the match. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Come on. Like if I'm playing Call of Duty and my dog starts barking, it's like, all right, guys, I got to go walk the dog. Bye.
Yeah.
How do I have more parenting skills with my dog than most people with like 3 kids, 4 kids? It's like, come on.
Because you're a responsible adult.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I become one. I think after all of the trials and tribulations of me fucking up through my childhood and my younger years, I think I've eventually, become a responsible person.
Dude, same. And that's the way you got to learn. You know what I mean? No one learned how to, climb Mount Everest without trying.
That's also another part of
or dying.
Right. That's also another part of parenting that's hard as hell, man, is that balance too, because you don't want to overdo it. Like if you're compensating for, all the troubles, like, oh, I don't want my kid to go through the trouble. Like, I grew up poor. I don't want my kid to be poor. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe not poor, but you got to also teach them to work a little bit, because then
absolutely.
They're entitled or whatever it is,
Yeah, we got to try best not to raise assholes. You know what I mean? That's the only thing. That's, in my mind, it's like, all right, how do I make a non-asshole?
Yeah, but then if you were that's because you're not an asshole. If you were an asshole, then you're probably raising an asshole.
yeah, exactly.
It's crazy, man. I hate to get super like psychological about parenting or whatever, but it's really when I see all these issues online, like I wake up and I look at Twitter and it's like, oh, there's people that are anti-vaxxers, or there's people that are communists and this and that. It's like, what? To me, it just seems like all of you guys you're not paying attention to what's important, the humanity and growing together as a human, like as a species. Like, we're all here on this planet, right? I was having a talk with Al from Ministry about that. Like, how what happens? You know that in the news there's UFOs now. Like, we have them; they're here now, and everybody's oh, what's Trump saying? Like, what are you talking about? There's fucking aliens. And why are we focused on racism? Like, why are you hating someone for the color of their skin when there are aliens coming from the sky?
Literally up there, right up there. just above us right now.
Yeah, and it's like nothing. No one cares. I was like, HBO Max or one of those things. Showtime was like popping an ad for like the new series UFOs, real accounts of you. They're here, and no one cares.
Yeah.
Oh man, Biden's sleepy Biden again, huh? Like,
yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, or people are complaining about skateboarding being in the Olympics.
Oh right, yeah, I saw that one. Why are you complaining about that? It's very. Have you skateboarded? It's hard.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, like I was actually with my mom today. We brought my mom and I brought my daughter to a sunflower patch, and we were just a cop pulled in front of us and like didn't use his blinker. I'm like, man, what a fucking douchebag. My mom's like, do you still hate cops? I'm like, I never really hated cops. I just like. I was like, skateboarding is an Olympic sport now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
All the years I got hassled for being a skateboarder and being arrested and all this stuff, and now it's an Olympic sport. So fuck that guy.
Yeah, that's
or
right.
girl, whoever was driving that car. Use your goddamn blinker.
You should seek some kind of reparations for the abuse of the police officers that abused all skateboarders. The same thing with like the weed now. I can walk into a dispensary in LA and someone hands me a bong to try out a sample of their weed. What are you talking about? I have to drive.
Yeah.
I drove here.
Yeah. But they know you're going to stay and hang out.
So, if I can walk into a store and get high and get a receipt for it, anybody that got arrested for weed should be getting some kind of money.
Yeah.
All of the time that they spent in jail, like send them a check, send them some fucking, I don't know, Denny's vouchers, send them something.
Or a joint in your mailbox every day.
Yeah.
Just
something.
one joint. Yeah, dad grass.
Good Lord, man. It's so sad to hear, like you were saying, I didn't even think about that. I'm like, the people that were getting bullied about skateboarding, that's nuts.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's a crazy time. So what do you think about like places like Oregon where they legalized everything?
I mean,
that to me sounds a little too much.
I don't know. I am like 4 years sober. Oh. So I was mine was booze. Okay. So like legalizing everything, I don't know, maybe that makes it like people want to do it less. I don't know, because it's
less
it's not
mysterious.
Like yeah. Like, oh, we can get fucked up whenever we want now. Cool. Like over it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
think it's too much to allow people to walk around with cocaine.
Yeah. I mean, and I'll tell you, cocaine is also not a gentle lover. That shit will fuck up your life.
Yes.
It will fuck up your life.
I came very close to that. I when I was younger, I had a problem with it. And then I woke up in a hospital. And that's the last day I did it. And I was like, nah, you know what? Nah. No, not the last day, but that's where the cutoff was.
Yeah, the hard
stop.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to be in the hospital for drugs.
Well, a crazy thing now is like, I'm sure you've heard, but like fentanyl going around, fentanyl
absolutely.
Being laced into all this stuff, and people like fucking getting sick and dying from like trying to have a night out,
Yeah,
like,
dude,
it's just insane.
They have legal over-the-counter drinks from like Red Line that'll fuck you up more than cocaine can. Yeah. You take one of those NOS drinks, or like the extreme ones, the C4, I think is the new one that's out, or Bang or whatever they're called. Chug a Bang, like shotgun style. Yeah. And that's the same as like an 8-ball or whatever you want to get.
The name basically sells itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's people that see the movie Crank with Jason Statham. I want that life. I want that life 24/7.
Or any movie with Jason Statham, because he's the same character over and over again, which is great because I love him.
Dude, it's the old school, it's that old school Hollywood thing. Like, Sylvester Stallone. He's not known for, like, I guess he's Rambo, but like he's also Rocky. He's also Cobra, whatever the fuck. Like he was the action guy, and he was the same guy in every movie. Even Arnold,
Dude, when you said Sylvester Stallone, like I forgot that he was in Rambo. just thought, I was like, oh, he's gonna say Rocky, like he's just Rocky. But I was like, oh my God, he was Rambo too,
He's
and
Rambo.
that was a big deal. Like, how do you do two R's though? How do you be Rambo and Rocky? They should have changed that up.
Nah, let it ride. It's fine. It's easier to alphabetize and to be at the movie store or whatever. Just say it's all together.
But how does he know? How does he know which guy he is? It's the same amount of letters, almost, right? MBO, or does he go? Yeah, and the same.
He doesn't. I mean, he talks the same. It's just different haircuts. That's all.
Same muscles, different haircuts.
Same muscles, same shirtless. But there's also like Steven Seagal. He's the same fucking guy in every movie that he does. But they're cool. He breaks arms and the action's fun. So that's how I see Jason Statham. I see him as this old school Hollywood action movie star now.
With no ponytail.
No ponytail. He's also representing for the men that are balding. So props to him. I give him props for just rocking that weird crown haircut. I have the same haircut. I just wear a hat to cover it, and then when I'm being lazy and I don't want to shave. But,
hey, you know what?
I have a youthful face.
You wear it well.
I wear it well. Well, hey, dude, I'm gonna cut it now. I appreciate your time and chatting with you. I know that we've gone back and forth on Instagram for a while, but I'm glad we got to sit down and chat. I'm hoping to see Thursday live once again. Fingers crossed. What was it? Wishful thinking booking?
Wishful thinking booking. You and I.
We got to open up wishful thinking booking.
Yeah. But listen, hey, you hit me up on whatever you hit me up on before, and I'll get you into the shows. You'll never pay again. Yeah, come hang.
I'll still support. I'll buy records and shirts, which is what I do. I always appreciate the guest list thing, but I know I want to support, so I always buy records and shirts and shit. And also, Steve is a buddy. Steve is a homie. So I will definitely see you guys again.
Hell yeah,
soon.
Hell yeah.
All right, brother. Take care.
Appreciate it, man.
Cheers.
Thanks, brother.